So people are always looking to get the lightest machine that's out there on the market, and I get it because it's very comfortable, but size can actually make a difference in your tattoo machine. And in today's video I'm gonna explain you why and how the size and weight of your machine is gonna make a difference in your tattooing. So let's dive down and let's see how it works. Now I've got my two most favorite machines right here. On this side we got the Dragonhawk Fold Pro, and right here we got the Xnet Vipera. And as you can see, they are both very different in size and weight. The Dragonhawk Fold Pro is only 195 grams, and then the Xnet Vipera is 275 grams. Now as you can see, they are both stroke adjustable from 2.4 to 4.2 millimeters in stroke. So basically everything about this machine is the same except the size and the weight. And I like both of these machines, but I'm gonna explain a little bit more on how to use them for specific kind of work that you get the most out of your machine. Now I do have reviews about both of these machines on my channel, so if you want to go a little bit more in depth about one specific machine, I will link the videos in the description below so you can have a look at the review on these two machines. But we're gonna start with the Xnet Vipera. This one is the larger one, the heavier one, but also has the bigger battery. This battery will last you anywhere from 8 to maybe 10 hours. In my opinion, it lasts a little bit longer. Now of course, if you have to do really high voltage kind of work, so a lot of lining, it might last a little bit on the shorter side. But I think I've used it for 12 hours and the battery was still on like 40%, something like that. So it's a really good machine. Now, because the battery is so big, I think they also made the rest of the machine a little bit bigger. The grip is a little bit thicker, which I think is very comfortable in my hand. You don't have to use as much grip tape because I always like to have a thicker grip. If you use a smaller machine, you might have to put a little bit more grip tape around it to get that comfortable size in your hand. Now the Dragonhawk Fold Pro is a lot lighter and a lot smaller. The battery doesn't last as long. It's a 4 to 6 hour lifetime, and I feel like that's okay. You can get through a tattoo with that. I would suggest, if you're buying this machine, to get an extra battery so you can easily switch them out and keep working if you have to do longer sessions. But that's not what we're going to be talking about today, because we're going to talk about what the difference is between a heavier and a lighter machine. Now the thing is, are you an experienced artist, what is your style, and so on. And that's how you can make your best decision on if you want a more heavier or a lighter machine. Now for me personally, I am used to using coil machines, so I've always been used to using a heavier machine, and I found that when I started using rotary machines, these machines were really light and I struggled to get some of the heavier line work in, even though they have like a longer stroke. So I like to compare it kind of to, let's say, a carpenter. If you are a carpenter and you have to get a nail into wood, for example, and you have a tiny hammer, it doesn't matter how long your swing is, which is translated to your tattoo machine, that will be your stroke. If you have a tiny hammer, it's just gonna take you longer to get that nail into the wall or into the wood. Where if you have a heavier nail, you might get that nail in a lot easier and a lot quicker. So that's kind of what the weight of your machine will do as well. It might be lighter on your hand, but a heavier machine will make it a little bit easier to get those lines or bigger needle groupings in. So there's a couple of things you should ask yourself. Are you an experienced artist? Is this going to be your first machine that you're going to be buying? What sort of style of tattooing do you do, or what would you like to do? Do you have a heavy hand if you're already experienced? Like, do you push pretty hard onto your needle, onto the skin to get your needles in, or are you very light-handed? What have you seen from tattoos that you've been doing recently? Are you pulling a line and the line is not there? Are you trying to pack color but your color comes out very dull? Those are all things that you should consider before you make a decision on buying a machine, whether that's going to be a heavy or a light one. Now I am very light-handed. I don't like to push very hard or put a lot of pressure onto the skin when I'm tattooing. So for me, a heavy machine actually helps, because if I use a really light machine, I kind of start to bounce on the skin and I'm not getting into the skin properly. So a heavier machine can help staying in the skin or be more consistent if you are very light-handed. Now if you are a little bit heavier handed, you might actually not benefit, because the weight of that machine is gonna counter on your heavy hand, and you might go too deep or you might blow out your lines because of that, and then you might benefit from a lighter machine. Now besides that, it also depends on what kind of style you're tattooing. I am more of a traditional kind of tattooer. I am used to coil machines, and that's why I like to use a little bit of a heavier machine. Also, I feel like it's easier to put in those bold outlines with a heavier machine, and if you have to do really bold black or really bold color saturation, I feel like a heavier machine can really help to do that. Now if you use this machine and you want to use a one round liner, it might be a little bit more stable in my opinion, but it'll push too hard or put too much pressure onto the skin to get those nice fine lines, and then I rather use a little bit of a lighter machine. That's actually why I have them both, because I do have to do some fine line tattoos every now and then, and I like to opt for like a lighter machine. But let's say you do fine line, or maybe you do soft black and gray or portraits. If you have to whip shade for hours and hours and hours and hours, a heavy machine is gonna put a whole lot of load onto your hand and your wrist. Now even though these pen style machines are not as heavy as coil machines or any other heavy rotary machines, you will feel it at the end of the day. So then it might be nicer to have like a little bit of a lighter machine, so you can easily whip shade without having any weight in your hand basically, so it doesn't put too much load onto your hand and your wrist. So that is some things you need to consider. So all in all together, these are my two absolute favorite machines at the moment. I am gonna get a machine that is gonna be something similar to this big boy, except the stroke lengths are a little bit different. That's a tattoo machine by Yilong. That one is gonna come out soon. I'm just waiting for the package to arrive, and I am excited on doing that. So just a quick recap. Heavy machine, good for bold lines, bold color, bigger lines, heavy black and stuff like that. Lighter machine is more for finer lines, soft black and gray, and so on and so on. I actually hope you learned something from this video, and it will help you make a better decision on if you want a heavier or a lighter machine. If you want any of these two machines, I will link the link to the stores down in the description below. If you want a more in-depth video, I do have the reviews in the description as well, so make sure you check those out if you want to know a little bit more about these machines. This is a kind of a little bit of a different video than what I usually do, but I always like to put some information out there for you guys, so you can learn something. I hope you enjoy watching this video. If you did, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel, and then I will see you in the next video.